grant us humility, and always remind us of our mission as public servants. Grant us the wisdom and the openness to allow you to teach us what we need to learn and how we can learn them through your grace. All this we ask under your supreme guidance and direction. Amen. Hey, good morning once again, and I hope that all of you are comfortably seated, working at home, from home, or at your respective offices. Welcome to the online public consultation on the revision of Philippine Qualifications Framework Diagram and proposed Philippine Qualifications Framework National Coordinating Council, Permanent Secretariat, Organizational Structure, and Functions. You know, the Philippine Qualifications Framework is a program collectively led by 5 government agencies with their heads, whose presence in this consultation is very important. So we are so honored to have them today. We would like to acknowledge the Philippine Qualifications Framework National Coordinating Council members, headed by the PQF NCC Chair, the Vice President and Secretary of the Department of Education, Sara Duterte herself. We have right now the Honorable Charito A. Zamora, Chairperson of the Professional Regulation Commission, who is present here. So may I request all our council members to please turn on their cameras as I mention their names. So Attorney Zamora.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Her Excellency, Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines, Sara Z. Duterte, Secretary, Department of Education, and Chairperson, Philippine Qualifications Framework National Coordinating Council, members of the PQF, Department of Labor and Employment, Commission on Higher Education, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, and Professional Regulation Commission, to all professional regulatory boards, CPSP CATS committees, and CPD councils, specialty societies, professional organizations, and all professionals who are present today. A very pleasant good morning to all of you. This online public consultation on the proposed revision to the PQF diagram, particularly the inclusion of professional track in the diagram, and on the proposed PQF NCC Permanent Secretariat organizational structure and functions, provides an opportunity for the stakeholders and the public to have their voices heard. Each perspective matters, as it brings to light different insights and concerns that might otherwise go unnoticed. The PRC and professional regulatory boards, in consultation with stakeholders, are developing quality assured standards in the formulation and implementation of the career progression and specialization program that are consistent with job requirements and demands of the Philippine industries. The PRC is likewise implementing continuing professional development, which shall be an integral component of the CPSP. Thus, I encourage everyone present here to actively participate in the discussions, to share the thoughts, ideas, and concerns openly. Most importantly, by participating in this consultation, we can ensure that the outcomes will be beneficial to the eventual adoption and implementation of the PQF that will undoubtedly influence the direction of our education system and workforce landscape. May we all have an engaging and productive activity. Again, thank you very much and good morning po.
Thank you, Attorney Zamora, for giving us a brief background and for setting the tone for today's consultation. How about Secretary Bienvenido Y Laguesma of the Department of Labor and Employment? Good morning, sir. We have Secretary Laguesma. Right. Good morning to Secretary Suharto Mangudadatu of the Technical Education Skills Development Authority. Good morning, sir. Can we hear from you? Okay, and how about Dr. J. Prospero E. De Vera III, Chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education? Right. So may we also acknowledge Commissioner Erwin M. Enad from PRC, Commissioner Jose Y. Cueto Jr. also from PRC, of course, our Deputy Director General Rosana A. Ordaneta for Policies and Planning of TESDA, Assistant Secretary Alma Ruby Torrio for Curriculum and Teaching from the Department of Education. And also would like to acknowledge SHED Executive Director, Attorney Cinderella Filipina Benitez Haro. Also, we would like to acknowledge the presence of the other undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, deputy directors general, professional organizations, development partners, representatives from training institutions, higher education and DepEd schools, regional and provincial offices, and other stakeholders. And of course, all our participants coming from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, joining us either via Zoom or YouTube or Facebook through live streaming. So before we all get absorbed in a very interesting discussion as we tackle our main objective this morning, let's call on a timeout for a photo opportunity. So may I invite all our participants to turn on their camera. So we are going to wait for a cue. Just keep those beautiful smiles with you. All right. So 1, 2, 3, smile. Let's have another shot. 1, 2, 3. Okay. As of 9:30, we are 825 all in all here in Zoom. Next. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm just waiting for the cue until when I would count the 1, 2, 3.
Ganira de siguro ni Sir Dan. Ganira siguro ni wala ko giwan
Please
man.
mute
Quite
your
marami po
microphone.
siya. Opo.
Please mute
Teka
your
lang po.
microphone.
Moving forward with other frames.
Okay. Yes, please mute your microphone while we are still having the photo opportunity. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Next batch. 1, 2, 3. Remember that we are 828 here. Next, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm not gonna count anymore. Just flash your smile all throughout. All right, next batch. Just keep those smiles. Okay, next. We would want, of course, to immortalize this moment and document this moment. So just keep those smiles flashed on your faces. Okay. Next batch. All right, next.
I believe okay na po tayo.
Okay,
Pasensya na po,
finally.
33 frames. Thank
That's
you.
exciting. And we are very thankful of our participants who are with us via Zoom, online, and also via Facebook and YouTube. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for flashing those beautiful smiles. What a way to start our morning. And of course, we truly appreciate your participation in this consultation. And at the end of the program, you will have better understanding and appreciation of the Philippine Qualifications framework that draws the relationship between the level of educational qualification and the standards for qualification outcomes. Now, to make sure that we all step the right foot forward to provide us the objectives for this consultation,
Hi ma'am, nakamute ka po.
all right?
Hello, good morning,
Can you
everyone.
still hear me? Okay, so
Diri
Yes.
abdi diri sa PQF.
okay, Miss Yasmin, again, Miss Yasmin Pimentel, Senior Specialist and Technical Staff of the TESDA PQF NCC Interim Secretariat to give us the objectives for this consultation.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So again, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our PQF NCC members headed by our chair, the Honorable Vice President of the Philippines, Secretary of the Department of Education, Vice President Sara Z. Duterte, and of course, our other members, Chairperson of the Professional Regulations Commission, Honorable Attorney Charito A. Zamora, Chairperson of the Commission of Higher Education, Chair De Vera III, Secretary of the Department of Labor and Employment, Secretary Laguesma, and of course to our Secretary, Secretaries Harto T. Mangonadato, PhD, and also to our Deputy Director General for Policies and Planning, DDG Ordaneta. And of course, I would like to also acknowledge the presence of our esteemed representatives from the various government agencies, our industry association and partners, our developmental partners, our professional organizations, and to all our stakeholders gathered here today and also watching online. So good day, everyone. Indeed, this is a momentous event. We know that the public consultation will enable us to promote transparency and inclusivity and accountability in governance. So to provide you with our objective for this consultation, we will be presenting to the general public the proposed revision of the PQF diagram, particularly on the inclusion of the junior high school certificate for PQF level 1 and the senior high school diploma for PQF level 2. And we will also be presenting the professional qualifications to be under level 4 to 8. And likewise, we will also be presenting the proposed permanent secretariat organizational structure and functions of the PQF NCC. And we hope to gather your comments, suggestions, and also validation in its eventual adaptation and implementation of its programs and activities. And of course, this is also a venue for us to promote the PQF and other related programs. So we hope for your active participation in this public consultation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Pimentel. And since you are already with us, while you are there, let's go straight to providing them with the overview and updates on the PQF implementation. So I won't be calling you anymore, ma'am. Go ahead. Let's go straight to the overview.
Warm and gracious morning to the members of the Philippine Qualifications Framework National Coordinating Council, headed by our Honorable Vice President of the Philippines and Secretary of the Department of Education, Vice President Sara Z. Duterte, members of the PQF-NCC, Chairperson of the Professional Regulations Commission, Attorney Charito Zamora, Chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education, Chair J. Prospero de Vera III, Secretary of the Department of Labor and Employment, Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma, and of course to our Secretaries Harto T. Mangonadato, PhD, and also to our Deputy Director General for Policies and Planning, DDG Rosana A. Ordaneta. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of our esteemed representatives from the various government agencies, to our stakeholders gathered here today, and all participants watching online. Good day to everyone. TESDA, as the Interim Technical Secretariat, will present a brief overview and updates on the Philippine Qualifications Framework. The foundation for the PQF was laid more than 2 decades ago with the implementation of reforms leading to a quality-assured competency-based TVET system in 1998 and the establishment of the Philippine TVET Qualifications Framework, or PTQF, in 2004, institutionalizing national certificates 1 to 4 based on the units of competencies developed with industry stakeholders. In 2012, the Philippine Qualifications Framework was established through the Executive Order Number 83, Series of 2012, institutionalization of the Philippine Qualifications Framework through the establishment of the PQF National Coordinating Committee. In 2014, Republic Act Number 10647, Series of 2014, or the Ladderized Education Act of 2014, which strengthens the ladderized interface between TVET and higher education, was enacted. In 2018, the Republic Act 10968, or Philippine Qualifications Framework Act, was enacted, where Sections 5 of the said Act and its IRR was established. In 2021, a PQF review was carried out with the guidance of the Council and with the technical assistance of the World Bank through its Future of Jobs project. The report assessed various aspects of the framework and policy recommendations regarding PQF's design, implementation, and utilization. It is the first of its kind and it did pave the way for the PQF NCC to study the next steps for implementing. By providing a clear and structured framework, the PQF aims to enhance the quality, relevance, and comparability of the qualifications in the Philippines. The PQF also aims to promote and supports lifelong learning, facilitates the recognition of qualifications, and promote mobility of learners within and the country and internationally. The Philippine Qualifications Framework, or the PQF, is a national instrument for developing and classifying qualifications according to a set of criteria or standards for level of learning achieved or qualifications outcomes within the Philippine education system. This diagram represents the PQF. The PQF distinguishes 8 levels of qualifications based on descriptors of desired learning outcomes in 3 domains: knowledge, skills, and values, application, and degree of independence. It is divided into sub-frameworks that corresponds to the subsystems of the education and training system. The TVED subsystem, for example, covers national certificates 1 to 4 and diploma, which corresponds to the first 5 levels, whereas the higher education subsystem covers baccalaureate, post-baccalaureate, master's, and doctoral degrees, which corresponds to level 6 to 8. The foundational level for the PQF is under grade 12 of the basic education. This means that upon completing grade 12, students are considered to have achieved the foundational level of qualifications according to the PQF. In terms of governance, the role of the National Coordinating Council, or NCC, is to facilitate the harmonization of qualifications for seamless movement of learners and workers within the country's education system and labor market. The PQF NCC is chaired by the Secretary of the Department of Education with the following members: Secretary of the Department of Labor and Employment, Chairperson of the Commission on Higher Education, Chairperson of the Professional Regulations Commission, Secretary Director General of the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. To ensure the alignment of educational outcomes with industry requirements and to add value of the qualifications within the workplace, representatives from the economic sector and industry sectors are also part of the council. The PQF NCC Permanent Secretariat provides the necessary technical and administrative support to the PQF NCC in the performance of its powers and functions. Likewise, the working groups were also formed to institutionalize key activities for the PQF implementation. The following are the working groups and its lead agencies: Qualifications Register, led by TESDA; Quality Assurance, led by CHED and TESDA; Pathways and Equivalencies, led by CHED; Information and Guidelines, led by DepEd; International Alignment, led by PRC; the Government and Industry Education, led by DOLE and TESDA; and the Lifelong Learning, led by DepEd and TESDA. So for the updates of the PQF NCC Working Group and various activities carried out by for the Qualifications Register Working Group, led by TESDA, the Philippine Qualifications Register, or PQR, is a national database of quality assured qualifications authorized by the PQF mandated agencies. It is a searchable list that is publicly available and linked to government websites. TESDA, as the lead agency, consistently updates and maintains the database. So the current status of the PQR are as follows. For the TVET sector, it has 315 training regulations and 10 diploma programs recognized by the TESTA board. For the higher education, it has 92 PSGs and 753 qualifications submitted. Under the professional qualifications, there are 63 table of specifications. For Marina, there are 5 international conventions on standards of training certificates and watchkeeping. And for the Philippine Civil Aviation Regulations, there are 4. Still under the Qualifications Register Working Group, it is noted that by end of 2023, CHED, PRC, and TESDA committed to include the appropriate PQF levels on all newly issued or renewed diplomas, national certificates, and professional identification cards. To safeguard its integrity, the PICWAR working group shall prepare the relevant quality assured mechanisms. And these efforts will be formalized upon the issuance of the PQF NCC Resolution Number 2023-02. Under the Pathways and Equivalencies Working Group led by CHED, it has facilitated the issuance of the joint policy document between TESDA and CHED on the implementation of the Philippine Credit Transfer System, or PCTS. The PCTS is a former policy approach to supporting learners to progress in their learning based on assessment of their achievement of learning outcomes in qualifications accredited by CHED or registered by TESDA under the PQF. They have concluded also the zonal orientation on the PCTS for various stakeholders, including the academe, TVET institution, and associations and industry partners from April to July. So PCTS is being piloted in agriculture and biosystems engineering, dentistry, hotel and restaurant management, or hospitality management. Both agencies are also considering to include courses in information technology and games development and animation. Similarly, PRC has developed quality assured career progression and specialization programs for all regulated occupations. These enable professionals to obtain higher qualifications through competency evaluation and, where applicable, additional education and training. Under the International Alignment Working Group led by PRC has developed preliminary interagency data on recognizing the qualifications and skills or education and training programs of the Filipino learners, employees, and professionals in other nations. This is to establish qualification comparability and alignment with international counterparts. Benchmarking with existing competency standards or qualifications is being pursued to guarantee the global competitiveness of the skilled Filipino workers. TESTA has also been actively participating in the Mutual Recognition of Skills, or MRS, project by being part of the pilot implementation of the MRS on logistics and transportation sector together with Thailand. Under the Government Industry Education Working Group led by DOLE and TESDA, there is an ongoing exploratory meeting with CHED to discuss the proposed GIE action plan. The said plan highlights various programs and initiatives to operationalize goals and objectives. A GIE summit will be held as part of the next steps, with the goal of bringing together stakeholders from the government, academe, and the training institutions to corporate groups and other key stakeholders in September 2023. In closing, let us remember that the PQF is more than just certificates and qualifications. It is about creating a society where every individual's potential is recognized, valued, and harnessed. It is about fostering a culture of lifelong learning where our Filipino people are encouraged to pursue knowledge, hone their abilities, and embrace new opportunities. We encourage all of you to be champions of the PQF in your respective institutions or organizations. Let us spread awareness and advocate for its implementation so that its impact can be felt far and wide. For more information about the PQF, kindly visit our website. Thank you for your kind attention. Warm and gracious
Mute na.
Thank you, Ms. Pimentel, for keeping us up to date with the ongoings on PQF. But before we move forward, we would like to acknowledge once again the presence of Secretary Suharto Mangudadatu from the Technical Skills Development Authority, or TESDA. Sir, good morning. Secretary Mangudadatu. Would you like to personally greet our participants who are joining us via Zoom and via YouTube? All right, so probably a bit later. So up next is the presentation that would lead us to attaining one of the objectives set for this consultation. Well, our first resource speaker is an education advocate with 30 years of extensive experience as a private school teacher, principal, and now a DepEd director. She is currently the Director 4 of the Bureau of Curriculum Development, a position she has held since 2015, where her key responsibilities are focused on addressing the post-pandemic education, transforming the overall K-12 curriculum by strengthening literacy and numeracy skills, focusing on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, enhancing technical vocational skills, and addressing the demands of Industry 4.0. Additionally, she's the current president of the Association of DepEd Directors, and she joined the DepEd in 2012, coming from a 21-year stint at a private school. To discuss the inclusion of basic education, junior high school certificate, and senior high school diploma in PQF levels 1 and 2 from the Bureau of Curriculum Development of the Department of Education, Director Jocelyn D.R. Andaya.
Thank you, Ms. Wenda Fajardo. The Philippine Qualifications Framework National Coordinating Council, headed by our Vice President and Secretary of Education, Vice President and Sara Duterte. The other council members from the Philippine Regulations Commission, from the DOLE, TESDA, and CHED. Other undersecretaries and secretaries present, professional organizations, development partners, stakeholders. Magandang umaga, maayong na aga. Good morning to everyone. Allow me to present the Department of Education's position on the place of basic education in the Philippine qualification frameworks levels, thereby revising the PQF diagram. The Philippine Qualifications Framework is an important tool aimed at assisting and supporting academic and worker mobility and addressing job skills mismatch. However, basic education completion does not correspond to any of the levels in the Philippine Qualifications Framework as shown in this diagram. In particular, grade 12 is placed below level 1. The PQF is a national policy which describes the levels of educational qualifications and therefore sets the standards for qualification outcomes. It is a quality assured mechanism for the development, recognition, and award of qualifications based on standards of knowledge, skills, and values acquired in different ways and methods by learners and workers of a certain country. Executive Order number 83, series of 2012, otherwise known as the Institutionalization of the Philippine Qualifications Framework, was signed on October 1, 2012. What makes the non-inclusion of basic education in the Philippine Qualifications Framework levels problematic? The junior high school or JHS certificate and senior high school or SHS diploma are considered qualifications used to progress to a higher level of education or training and/or employment. With the definitions of qualifications and the essence of PQF, we can say that the junior high school certificate and the senior high school diploma are official, valid documents that demonstrate that the student has achieved the qualifications to progress to a higher level of education or training and/or employment. Junior high school and senior high school shall be recognized as qualifications based on how qualification is defined by the implementing rules and regulations or the IRR of the PQF Act of 2018. According to the IRR, qualification is a formal certification that a person has successfully achieved specific learning outcomes relevant to the identified academic, industry, or community requirements. It is a qualification that confers official recognition of values in the labor market and in education and training. So given these definitions, PQF can be understood as a quality assured national system for the development, recognition, and award of qualifications based on standards of knowledge, skills, and values acquired by learners and workers educated or trained in the Philippines. Let us now analyze the definition of qualification and how it applies in the context of DepEd. Formal certification in basic education refers to elementary and junior high school certificates and senior high school diploma. Learning outcomes, on the other hand, are clear statements of what a learner is expected to know, understand, and or do as a result of learning experiences which are similar to the attained or achieved learning standards reflected in our K-12 curriculum guides, such as our content and performance standards and learning competencies. Furthermore, labor market, which refers to employment and entrepreneurship, while education and training, which represent higher education and middle-level skills development, form part of the identified curriculum exits in senior high school. In other words, the definitions indicate that the junior high school certificate and the senior high school diploma are qualifications that prove the learner's successful attainment of learning standards, such as content standards, performance standards, and learning competencies. These are found in DepEd Order 31, Series of 2012, and DepEd Order 21, Series of 2019. Obtaining the senior high school certification likewise enables our senior high school graduates to proceed to any of the 4 curriculum exits. Thus, we at the Department of Education propose that the junior high school certificate and the senior high school diploma be recognized as PQF Level 1 and PQF Level 2 respectively. And as discussed by Ms. Yasmin Pimentel, grade 12 serves as foundation for the different levels in the PQF. Again, our proposal is that junior high school should be in Level 1 and senior high school should be in Level 2. The current PQF seems to undervalue Philippine basic education compared with other countries. It can be seen that unlike the Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Finland, and Belgium place their basic education in their national qualifications framework level 1 and 2, equivalent to the junior high school certificate and the senior high school diploma, respectively. The same is true to the European qualifications framework for 35 countries. Their junior high school is placed at EQF level 3, while senior high school is placed at EQF level 4. What are our justifications then in our proposition to include basic education in the PQF? In this slide, in PQF level 1, the equivalence of the knowledge and skills in the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework, or the AQRF, and the PQF in DepEd is highly evident. In this slide, by the end of grade 10, our DepEd students can demonstrate multiliteracies, scientific investigations, mathematical analysis, evaluation of national and global issues, technical competence in TVL specializations, physical and health wellness, and positive values. This means that by the end of grade 10, junior high school completers have already satisfied the AQRF level 1 and PQF level 1. Similarly, the standard set for application and responsibility for AQRF level 1 and PQF level 1 are met by our junior high school completers. The application of knowledge and skills is evident in the K-10 performance standards, where learners' outputs are in the form of products and performances. The degree of independence criterion for PQF level 1 is also met by DepEd, as our junior high school students are closely supervised in doing responsibly the written works and performance tasks. The same also goes with the knowledge and skills in level 2 of AQRF and PQF, as senior high school graduates' competencies are equivalent to the set qualifications. In particular, by the end of grade 12 or senior high school, learners are holistically developed, equipped with 21st century skills, and are ready for higher education, vocational training, employment, or entrepreneurial ventures. Similarly, the standard set for application and responsibility for AQRF level 2 and PQF level 2 and the degree of independence for PQF level 2 are met by our senior high school graduates. The application of knowledge and skills is evident in the senior high school performance standards, where our learners' outputs are in the form of products and performances. Now, for the degree of independence, learners are supervised minimally in doing responsibly the written works and performance tasks that include their independently made research studies and work immersion duties and responsibilities. So what are now the benefits of including basic education in PQF levels 1 and 2? Including our basic education in PQF levels 1 and 2, specifically junior high school and senior high school, will enable our learners' qualifications to be recognized in higher education and relevant trainings outside the country. This will also increase the chance of being gainfully employed here and abroad. Finally, the recognition of basic education in the PQF shall fulfill one of the Matatag agenda items, which is to produce job-ready, active, and responsible citizens. Finally, we hope that the justifications elaborated here will merit the inclusion of our junior high school and senior high school in levels 1 and 2, respectively. Thank you and good morning once again to everyone.
All right. Thank you, Director Joyce, for the very interesting discussion on the inclusion of basic education. And I'm sure there are questions you want to raise now to all our participants. I'm sure you have your questions to raise. Now you have your chance to type them in the chat box and comment section. Our team will be glad to read them for you. However, please limit your questions only to those related to inclusion of basic education, junior high school certificate, and senior high school diploma in PQF levels 1 and 2. So to help us facilitate this question and answer part, let's call on Ms. Janine Almeida Mendoza and Ms. Marjorie Cruz, both from the Department of Education, to help us with the Q&A. Ms. Janine and Ms. Marjorie.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Cuenta. Thank you, Director Joyce, as well for the beautiful presentation. So we actually have a question here from one of the participants from the Department of Education, Director Joyce. How is the articulation of alternative learning system in DepEd's proposition to include basic education in the PQF diagram? So in other words, would our junior high school completers and senior high school graduates from the alternative learning system be also included in the PQF diagram as well?
Ma'am, you are muted.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for that question. Like I said, our ALS learners are also, that forms part of our proposal to be included in the levels, because our ALS learners also receive a junior high certificate upon completion of all the requirements for junior high school, and our ALS learners in senior high schools are also given diplomas. So yes, they are included in the PQF as we have proposed.
Thank you for that confirmation, Director Joyce. Ms. Marsh, do we have more questions from the chat box?
None for now, but feel free to use the chat box if you have any questions. Other concerns?
Yes, I think I captured one
Um,
question here from the chat box. We have a question from TESDA, Region 9. Is the inclusion of senior high school in the PQF would be applicable for all strands, or would the inclusion of SHS in the PQF be applicable to all strands or tracks?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. It is applicable to all tracks because we are not looking at tracks here or strands. We're looking at the conferment of a diploma to our senior high school graduates. So it is agnostic of tracks and strands. For as long as the student is able to complete senior high school and be given the diploma, then they are considered senior high school graduates.
All right, thank you for that. So it's clear that, of course, that would be applicable regardless of the strand or regardless of the track. Ms. Marsh, some more questions?
Another one, for those schools with senior high school on tech book, does it meet already the PQF 1 and 2?
I think the question is similar to the question raised a while back. The possession of a senior high school diploma already, and if approved, qualifies them for level 2.
Ma'am, can I raise a question, please?
Yes, sir.
Of course, to our resource person, do we have a mandatory assessment in certification policy to our senior high school before graduation? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Our mandatory assessment is, of course, the quarterly assessment, and that is classroom assessment. But the other thing also is that our senior high school students take up the NAT, or the National Achievement Test.
Well, I am referring to the National Assessment and Certification Program conducted by TESDA. Are they being required, or do we have a mandatory policy for our senior high school to submit for the National Assessment and Certification Program conducted by TESDA? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, at this time, the taking up assessment for any qualification is not mandatory for our students. But that I believe there is a bill right now in Congress that proposes that.
Because
Those that are
the
under-
direction is either to take higher education and or employment and entrepreneurship direction now. So we need, of course, the national certificate for them to be a holder. Thank you.
Yes, yes. But like I said in my presentation, what will make them, our learners, for instance, in junior high school and senior high school, qualified for the levels, is not the NC certificate, that's the national certificate. It's actually possession of a junior high school certificate and senior high school diploma, even if they do not possess an NC. At the moment, of course, we are encouraging our learners, especially those enrolled under the TechVoc strand, to take and pass the NC because that is an added qualification. But for purposes of this discussion, we I said, possession of a senior high school diploma, even if they do not have an NC, will qualify them for level 2 of the PQF.
Yeah, so can I say something? This is Ray Vea. I'm the chair of the National Referencing Committee of the PQF. Can I?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead po.
Okay. So if a student passes junior high school, then he'll get a certificate. Eventually, it will be stamped with PQF level 1 and maybe even AQRF level 1. And when he finishes senior high school, he'll get a diploma that will have that stamp also, PQF level 2 and PQF level 1. But in addition, as I think mentioned by the resource person, there are courses, I think, in grade 10 and a track in VocTech track grades 11 and 12 that where the learners can be given an NC certificate. And that's right, I think. So there's nothing wrong with getting the certificate, JHS certificate and SHS diploma. In addition, the learner will get an NC certificate, whether level 1 or level 2, issued by TESDA. And that will also be stamped with the appropriate level in the PQF. That is what the ASEAN level is working towards, that there'll be a seal or an indication that the diploma, the certificate, or will be stamped with the appropriate level of the National Qualification Framework and the ASEAN level qualifications framework. So I just want to comment on that. There's no question. I have no question.
Director Andaya, this is Nepo Malaluan of Action for Economic Reforms. Good morning. This is a rejoinder to the comment by Professor Ray Bea. I think that this is the essence really of qualifications framework, recognizing equivalences. It is not meant to be a stacked one on top of the other, but if they are able to perform at certain levels, the appropriate attitude, skills, and definitions of the standards, they are conferred such, regardless of whether they are going to the technical vocational pathway or to the basic education pathway, in this case, senior high school. If they possess all the qualification standards of such a level, then they are conferred such. Taking a different pathway, if it just affords them similar qualification, they are able to demonstrate a similar qualification, then they would still just confer that. It does not mean they will go to a higher level. TESDA, we understand, are also working on higher qualification levels NC3 and C4, which will be of higher qualification. So what we are saying is that there is no conflict with the elevation of junior high school and senior high school. The other point is we would like to express our congratulations to the PQF NCC for opening this process to a broader consultation, and we hope that this process can be sustained, this consultative process in other matters of the PQF NCC. Thank you very much, Dr. Andaya.
Thank you, Yusek Nepo.
Our next question, do we have data on senior high school graduates who have been assessed as to whether their competencies have matched that of what is required for levels 1 and 2?
Like I mentioned, the way of assessing our learners will be through the classroom assessment, which is given at the end of every quarter. At the same time, also, we have other national assessments. Now, we're just looking at how the AQRF and PQF have articulated what the knowledge and skills and application and are, and we match those with what our students can do, know and can do according to our curriculum. So that was the process that we did as regards matching.
Okay, thank you, Ms. for throwing that question. So far, based on the chat box, we've seen that they are supportive of DepEd's proposition not to include basic education in the PQF diagram. Again, if should you have questions related to Dr. Joyce's presentation, feel free to use our chat box. Okay, we have here again, I believe we can accommodate last two questions. We have a question here from Region 11. Will there be corresponding curriculum revisions in basic education as a result of the adaptation of this proposal?
Our curriculum, the revised curriculum will be launched this coming Tuesday. It has taken into account all the PQF articulation, the AQRF articulation, and more than that, what is really expected of our learners as they progress from each grade level. And so, yes, that's the answer to the question.
Thank you for that, Director Joyce. One last question, Ms. March.
Yes, Director Joyce, you have a question here. Under the Philippine law, a junior high school graduate is a 16-year-old student. They are considered minor, not qualified member of the workforce. Earlier, it was mentioned that the certificate can be used to another level of education and employment. How do we resolve this?
I think that our colleagues from the DOLE can also answer that part, but yes, other levels of qualification, that education qualification, that they can proceed to senior high school. And at the same time, the articulation also is that for close supervision for our grade 10 learners who are 16 years of age, that can also be done. But I would like to also seek the opinion of our representatives from DOLE, because I know that in special circumstances, our 16-year-old learners may be employed as well.
Thank you, Director Joyce.
All right, so I think that's the last question to be entertained or to be accommodated this morning. Rest assured that all your comments are documented by our team. So again, if you still have more questions, feel free to use our chat box and the team will just document your questions. Thank you, Director Joyce.
Thank you, and good morning again to everyone.
All right. So again, thank you, Director Joyce. Thank you, Ms. Janine, Ms. Marjorie, and of course to all our participants who raised their questions. Thank you, and we're glad that some of your questions were made clearer. Well, in case, again, just what Janine mentioned, in case you still have comments and recommendations, just type them in the chat box. We will document everything and forward to the Secretariat or PQF NCC. So the next time the lead agencies meet, they can discuss your suggestions. Okay. So we'll go straight to the next topic because all our topics are very interesting. After the inclusion of basic education, we proceed to discussing the inclusion of professional track. Well, our next speaker belonged to class 1977 of the UP College of Medicine. He finished his residency training in general surgery at the UPPGH Medical Center and is a fellow of the Philippine College of Surgeons and the Philippine Society of General Surgeons. He holds a Master of Health Profession in Education degree from the University of the Philippines National Teacher Training Center for the Health Professions based in UP Manila. He was a member of the faculty of the DLSU College of Medicine, chairman of the Department of Surgery, the medical director of the DLSU Medical Center, and vice president for medical services of the DLSU Health Science Campus. He served as member of the Professional Regulatory Board of Medicine from 2009 to 2015 and was chairman of the board in 2012. He was the founding dean of the Mariano Marcos State University College of Medicine from 2015 to 2017, and also served as the overall coordinator for the Philippine Qualifications Framework and the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework at the PRC. So without further ado, to discuss the inclusion of professional track in PQF levels 4 to 8, we call on Commissioner Jose Y. Cueto Jr. from the Professional Regulation Commission.
Thank you very much and good morning to everybody. First, let me greet the chairperson of the PQF, National Coordinating Council, Deputy Secretary and Vice President, Sara Duterte, Dole Secretary, Benvenido Leguesma, TESDA Director General, Soarto Mangodadato, Chairman, De Prospero de Vera III, our own PRC Chairperson, Attorney Charito Zamora, and my fellow Commissioner, Commissioner Erwin Enad, all the PRB chairs and members who are present here, fellow presenters, the participants from government and private institutions, higher education institutions, and of course from the professional organizations, DepEd, DOLE, TESDA, CHED, PRC representatives from the different regions. Let me share my PowerPoint presentation. So this is part 2 of the revision of the Philippine Qualifications Framework. And for us, this will deal with the inclusion of professional track or professional qualifications in PQF levels 4 to 8. So my outline will follow this, that first I will give an overview of the Philippine Qualifications Framework, then a review of the Philippine Qualifications Framework towards improved skills recognition and mobility, which was done by World Bank. And the third will be inclusion of professional qualifications in the PQF levels 4 to 8. So as stated already, our Philippine Qualifications Framework started with the Tibet sector way back 1998. And you see the different developments. In 2012, this was institutionalized through Executive Order 83. And then you have 2014, Ladderized Education Act, 2016, the CPD law, and 2018, RA 10968, known as the PQF Act. This was, I think, the first version where you will see a column on technical vocational skills development from Certificate 1 to Diploma 2. Then you have early childhood education, elementary education, secondary education, bottom, and a higher education column starting with associate going up to doctorate. In 2012, when this was issued as part of Executive Order number 83, you now see the PQF levels 1 to 8, and then basic education. This is already in level 1, level 2. The column and technical education and skills development and higher education, level 6, 7, and 8. So this is 2014 version. And you now see the biggest change is grade 12 was placed seemingly outside of the diagram, but it's placed on the base. So the PQF has 8 level qualifications descriptors defined in terms of 3 domains: knowledge, skills, and values, application, degree of independence. And you see the descriptors. In level 6, KSB, demonstrated broad and coherent knowledge and skills, application and professional, creative work or research, degree of independence, substantial degree of independence, and there's a qualification type. For level 7, for KSB, demonstrated advanced knowledge and skills in a specialized or multidisciplinary field of study or professional practice, self-directed research, and or lifelong learning. And you see the descriptor for the application and for the degree of independence. And for level 8, demonstrated highly advanced systematic knowledge and skills in highly specialized and or complex multidisciplinary learning for complex research and or professional practice or for advancement of learning, and descriptors for application and degree of independence. These are very important because basis for promotion from one level to a higher level will require compliance with the descriptors of the different levels. So starting from level 6, if you want to go to level 7, you will have to comply with the descriptors of level 7 based on the domains of knowledge, skills, and values, application, degree of independence. So the PQF coverage includes all institutions in training, specialization, skills and competencies, work experience, and lifelong learning. So this definition of qualification is RA number 10968, and I think this was also presented by the DepEd presentation. Now let me go to the basic qualifications being issued by the 3 government agencies, TESDA, CHED, and the PRC. Basic qualifications issued, NC1 to diploma, and we now have a proposal to add the DepEd junior and senior high. For CHED, it's bachelor, master, and doctorate degrees, and for PRC, registered and licensed professional. What is the basis for the issuance of qualifications for these 3 agencies? For TESDA, these are the training regulations. For CHED, they are the policies, standards, and guidelines. And for PRC, we use the table specifications which contain the competency standards for every profession. The system of conferment, there are similarities, like for TESDA, it's direct and through registered program after competency assessment. So there's a quality assurance mechanism. For CHED, it's done through authorized higher education institutions with government permit. These higher education institutions are the ones conferring academic degrees from bachelor level 6, master level 7, and doctorate PQF level 8, which I would classify or qualify as academic qualification. For PRC, PRC confers directly to graduates who pass the licensure exam, for example, PQF level 6 to 7, a professional qualification. So let me use the nursing profession as an example. A graduate of the nursing course is conferred the degree Bachelor of Science in Nursing, BSN, which is compliant with PQF level 6. And this is the academic qualification. But a passer of a nursing licensure examination is conferred a professional qualification by the PRC registered nurse, also belonging to PQF level 6. For the system of conferment, especially for the column on the PRC, we now have added accreditation of training providers and programs based on RA 10912, which contains provisions on the continuing professional development and career progression specialization program. So we now have professional track, which extends up to level 6, 7, and 8. And these are professional qualifications, registered and licensed professionals. So for career progression specialization pathways, we have divided them into the academic track, professional track, creative, innovative work, research, leadership, and management. During the time that we were crafting the Philippine Credit Transfer System, because I was a participant, one of two resource persons, we have already added a column on post-degree professional track after the primary, secondary, and tertiary columns. And we also incorporated that in the existing pathways and equivalencies, access ramps. So you see on the right side, career shift and progression and transfer scheme and credit accumulation and transfer system. These are for professionals, post-degrees. And the PQF coverage, we already included post-degree in our presentations. As an example, from 2018 to 2019, the dentistry profession, the Dentistry Board of Medicine, has already presented the dental program, which has included level 7 and 8, the professional track, with level 7 being conferred the title fellow and level 8 being conferred the title diplomate. We also have a similar system in the medicine program, but we have graduates of medicine already being conferred level 7. So a diplomate and a fellow who has undertaken an accredited residency training program and who has passed the certifying exam is given a qualification title of a diplomate and a fellow of the specialty society. Now let me go to the review of the Philippine Qualifications Framework, which was conducted by the World Bank. This publication was issued September 2021. As I said, the legal basis for the CPSP is Section 12 of Resolution number 1032, series of 2017, the IRR. The PRC and the PRBs in consultation with the IPO and the APO, the Civil Service Commission, and other government agencies and industry stakeholders shall formulate and implement a career progression and specialization program for every profession. The respective career progression and specialization program of each profession shall form part of their CPD master program. In connection with that, the PRC has issued resolution number 1117, series of 2018, formulating guidelines on the creation and implementation of a career progression and specialization program for the regulated professions. In the Philippine Qualifications Framework Review done by the World Bank, it contains this provision: possible consideration for professional qualifications in PQF levels 6 to 8. The PQF levels are driven mainly by academic degrees, not fully reflecting professional qualifications that require years of experience or complexity of practice. Academic and professional qualifications are separate, and academic degree programs alone would not capture professional qualification standards. You will see in my previous slides, there's a differentiation between the academic qualification issued by higher education institutions and professional qualifications issued by the Professional Regulation Commissions. The academic qualifications usually are assigned to level 6, but a number of professions require a master's degree before they are given professional qualifications by the PRC. So for academic qualifications, they reach level 6 and level 7 based on the higher education courses that they take and the license or examinations that are given by the PRC. For professional qualifications going up to level 8, we have included the professional track, which confer to professionals professional qualifications. So additional considerations in number 3, more specifically for the PQF level 6 to 8, a column on professional qualification standards for professional expertise acquired through practice in the field can be added. So as an example, this was included in the report by the World Bank. As you can see in the Hong Kong qualifications framework, you have professional diploma and certificate and advanced diploma and certificate for levels 5, 4, 5, and 6. And even for the Singapore Work Skills qualifications. For the Hong Kong qualifications framework, you now see the recognized qualification channels in the Hong Kong qualifications framework system. QF recognized qualifications, the higher one in blue, by learning programs. These are qualifications attained through learning programs that are offered by education, training providers, and industry. And the second is by assessment, RPL, recognition of prior learning qualifications, issued by RPL assessment agencies. And you see with the red arrow, professional qualifications. These are qualifications attained through assessments and issued by accreditation agencies. For the PRC, we have 4 clusters belonging to the regulated professions. The first cluster with 11 professions under the technology cluster. We have 14 professions under the health and allied professions. We have 9 professions under business, education, and economic professions. And we have 12 professions under the engineering cluster. For the sub-professional qualifications, I've listed down registered master electricians, master plumbers, electronics technicians, chemical technicians, certified plant mechanics, dental hygienists, dental technologies. And you see with TESDA training regulations, and the licensure examinations are being administered by the professional regulatory boards under the Professional Regulation Commission. So you see the Board of Electrical Engineering, the Board of Master Plumbers, the Board of Electronics Engineering, the Board of Chemistry, the Board of Mechanical Engineering, and the Board of Dentistry. For sub-professional qualifications, you now see for chemical technician, the requirement is for the candidates to have successfully completed at least 30 units of undergraduate chemistry courses from an institution duly recognized by the CHED or the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA. For the Republic Act number 8495, qualifications of applicants for certified plant mechanic. You now see in letter B, graduated from a vocational or trade school, duly recognized by the government after completing an approved course of not less than 2 years in stationary or power plant engineering or any mechanical plant operation. And letter C, specific record of an additional 1 year or more of active practice in mechanical plant operation. And that's the reason why in this slide, you see blank for chemical technicians and certified plant mechanics. So the proposal which have been submitted by the PRC to the PQF National Coordinating Council was for the inclusion of a column on professional qualifications. It includes sub-professional qualifications belonging to level 4, level 5, and then professional qualifications from level 6, level 7, and level 8. So you see for level 7 and level 8, we have labeled it generic in generic terms, specialist 1, specialist 2, advanced professional, and advanced higher professional. These are our proposals. So in summary, I provided an overview of the basic principles and mechanics of the Philippine Qualifications Framework. I presented the review of the PQF by the World Bank, the relevant provisions. And third, I presented the proposed inclusion of a column on professional qualifications from levels 4 to level 8, levels 4 to 8 in the PQF diagram as recommended by World Bank and as proposed by the Professional Regulation Commission. So thank you very much for your kind attention.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Cueto, for your another very interesting presentation, similar to the first Q&A. Please type in your questions to all our participants. Please type in your questions and comments in the chat box. Our team will read them for you. And again, please limit your questions to the topic discussed by Commissioner Cueto, and that is the inclusion of professional track in PQF levels 4 to 8. This time for our next round of Q&A, let's call on Dr. Melinda Garcia and Ms. Cecil Fernando from the Professional Regulation Commission. Help us
Once again,
moderate the Q&A.
Commissioner Cueto for the very concise and informative presentation on the proposed inclusion of the professional track in the PQF diagram. Well, we have questions coming from the registration, FB Live, YouTube, and also from our Zoom chat box. So for our question, can a specialist lose its PQF level if he becomes inactive from their specialty society?
Okay, thank you for the question. A PQF level which has already been conferred does not depend on whether you are still in active practice or you're already inactive. So I think it would be permanent. It can only be changed if you go up to a higher level. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Cueto. Our second question here is in medicine. A diplomate and fellow of a medical specialty are both under Category 8. Will there be a proposal for the creation of subcategories to differentiate a diplomate, a fellow, and those with more than one fellow status or title and more successful board exams taken?
As we have shown, we only have levels 1 to 8 in the Philippine Qualifications Framework. And there are no levels in between the numbers, meaning for a medical graduate, he is already assigned to level 7. And if he specializes in a certain specialty or specialization field, he's conferred level 8. So there is no 7.5, there's no 7.6, there's no 7.8 in between 7 and 8. So no matter how many titles you may have obtained or additional specializations that you have obtained, you will still be aligned in level 8.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cueto. Okay, there was a comment from the registration, no? Well, more free virtual online webinars, PRC, CPD credit units, please. Thank you very much. God bless po. Yes po, we will continuously come up with free virtual online webinars. Maraming salamat po. Okay, so for our next question, is there a system in the professional track for sub-professionals to become professionals?
Thank you very much. For the last several months, we have been disseminating the Philippine Credit Transfer System. And the emphasis is on TechBook qualifications going to higher education institutions. And we have pilot programs, specifically in the agriculture and biosystems engineering, in dentistry, in electronics engineering, which would map out how somebody from a sub-professional qualification will go up to higher education level 6 with the use of credit transfer system. So the answer, I think, is it's yes, but we still have to develop the credit transfer system in other professions. But we are already disseminating all the principles that are needed by TechBook institutions and higher education institutions in effecting the credit transfer system. So that will allow those in level 3, level 4, technicians, technologies to go up to higher education institutions. That's already being implemented.
Thank you, Commissioner Cueto. Another question is, will the different specialty societies be involved in the monitoring?
We have a system, or we have issued a resolution in the PRC where we are encouraging the different specialty groups. We have the different specialty societies because they may have different nomenclatures that are being used, that they will have to apply to the PRC for accreditation, and they will have to show to the PRC, CPSP committees what kind of quality assurance program that they will be, or mechanisms that they will be implementing, and how will they deliver the kind of program, the setting, and of course the competency assessment, the awarding body, and of course that will pass through the scrutiny of the Professional Regulation Commission, CPSP Program Management Committee. So we already have a system that when a specialty group or specialty society is accredited, then they have the responsibility of implementing the program that was approved by the PRC, but they will be monitored. And there will be reports that will be required for them to submit so that the Program Management Committee and the CPSP committees will be able to monitor all the accredited programs.
Okay po, we have a comment here. No, we need to strengthen the PQF regulatory and practice in the country. Agree po, and we at PRC are doing our best. Okay, for our next question, is a master's degree holder eligible to become a specialist in the same field? Example po, public. And there is also a related question, but I think this is pang Ched po to, no? From the FB Live. I have a question in relation with level 7 and 8 for higher education. Do the number of higher institutions offering master's and doctoral degrees in the Philippines have been considered? Because in our case here in Catanduanes, in the field of civil engineering and environmental planning, as of this year, there was no masteral or doctoral degree being offered. As such, it may be a big burden for the level 6 professionals to be at level 7, 8.
Okay, for the first question on public health, remember that academic qualification or academic track is separate from the professional track. Somebody who has taken a master's degree will be conferred that degree by a higher education institution which is not under the Professional Regulation Commission. So strictly speaking, it does not belong to the professional track because the master's degree is given by higher education institution. For the second question regarding master's and doctorate in certain professions, again, this will fall under the authority and regulation of the Commission on Higher Education. They are the ones, meaning the technical panels, if there are technical panels already in those programs, and they are the ones visiting, I think, higher education institutions which apply to implement academic programs. So all of those will have to be under monitoring by the Commission on Higher Education. The PRC is not involved in the monitoring of the higher education institutions conferring the different degrees, but there are members of our regulatory boards who are members of technical panels, and they are part of visiting teams in the inspection and visitation of higher education institutions. But all the decisions will be given by the Commission on Higher Education. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Commissioner Cueto. Another question is, where is Civil Service Commission in the discussions? How will PQF become relevant to local government units and its plantilla, and impact of PQF law with remuneration or salary grade requirements?
CSC is very important. Is a very important collaborator in this, because in the law, we are supposed to consult the Civil Service Commission. So the specialization programs, especially, will be coursed through the Civil Service Commission. As far as the SG is concerned, I think this only applies to government employees or professionals. So they will also be governed by civil service rules. And of course, the civil service administers their own examinations, and they confer their own qualification titles. So those are separate from the Professional Regulation Commission, conferring titles of registered and licensed professionals. And of course, with the proposal to incorporate qualifications, professional qualifications column in the PQF diagram, then we will be conferring qualifications via the professional track for levels 7 and 8.
Okay po, sir. We have a comment here from the FB Live. A lot of topics taken in grades 11 and 12 are tackled again in first-year college. Why not adjust the curriculum in college, or better yet, remove grades 11 and 12? It also delays producing professionals. Furthermore, additional 2 years in high school is financially burdensome to some Filipino parents. Okay. So for our question, meron po tayo. Where do we categorize non-board certified medical specialists?
Medical specialist?
Opo, where do we categorize non-board certified medical specialists? Siguro ito po yung hindi passers ng medical specialty societies.
If we follow the principles of the Philippine Qualifications Framework, quality assurance is one of the most critical components. Competency assessment is also a very critical component before award of qualifications. So somebody who has undertaken, for example, residency training, because it refers to a medical specialist. Somebody who has undertaken a residency training, the quality assurance is the program should be accredited. Second, the graduate should be able to pass a certifying examination. So if you finish a program but you did not pass the certifying examinations, the title diplomate and fellow given by an accredited program may disqualify you from being conferred by a government agency like the Professional Regulation Commission and official title in the PQF level. But because you are a medical graduate, you are already in level 7. So the very critical point, I think, that will need to be resolved by the CPSP Program Management Committee are questions and issues like this, which may be raised to the level of the Program Management Committee. So hopefully, we already have an idea on that, because as I said, quality assurance is very important in the award of professional qualifications, also for academic qualifications.
Thank you, Commissioner Cueto. For another question is, how is the assessment for PQF level 7 and 8?
The assessment is based again on the domains, because domain 1 is knowledge, skills, and values. Domain 2 is application. Domain 3 is degree of independence. So if the assessment is based on the domains and the basis are the descriptors, then the level of your knowledge, because from level 6 going to level 7, from level 7 going to level 8, there's supposed to be a hierarchy of knowledge, skills, and values, application, and degree of independence. And the candidate will have to demonstrate compliance with a higher level of knowledge, higher level of skills, higher level of values, and of course, in the context of its application and the degree of independence, before they can be conferred a higher qualifications. And sometimes there's an issue. A candidate has already obtained an academic qualification, but if he fails the license or examination, does it mean that the academic qualifications will be wasted? For a regulated profession, he will not be allowed to practice the profession because that will constitute illegal practice of a regulated profession. So it's very important that after compliance with the requirements for a certain qualification, then the competency assessment should also be passed, because that may be the final pathway to a professional workforce, because if they do not pass, then they will not be able to practice the profession.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Cueto. Back to our MC.
Thank you again, Commissioner Cueto, for answering all questions raised. And thank you, Dr. Garcia and Ms. Fernando, for helping us accommodate our participants' queries and comments. Before we proceed to the last topic, once again, allow me to remind everyone to type in your questions in the chat box so we can accommodate more. We might not be able to call those raising their hands unless we still have time. Thank you. So for our last topic, our speaker is a public servant who is currently with the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. He has been with the government service for almost 25 years. He is an example of someone whose dedication to his work made him who he is today, as he rose from the ranks, started as a clerk, then got promoted several times until he was appointed to the third level of management position. Appointed as full-fledged Director 4 only on May 2022 of this year, he now heads the Qualifications and Standards Office of TESDA as Executive Director. So to present the proposed PQF NCC Permanent Secretariat organizational structure and function, let's call on Executive Director Elsie Hagoriles Castillo. Director Castillo.
Hi, good morning everyone. Magandang umaga po sa ating mga kasama. May technical na inaayos lang po, but I would like to greet our chairperson, the Vice President, and of the Philippines, the Deputy Secretary, and of course all the members of the PQF NCC, at sa lahat po ng dumalo sa araw na to, mula po sa CHED, sa TESDA, sa PRC, sa DepEd, and other agencies and our partners from the different areas all over the Philippines. Magandang umaga po. Okay, Secretariat, please. We're just waiting for, oh, there it is. Okay.
So today, to start off, we will be presenting to you the salient and relevant provisions of the PQF Act and IRR, which serve as the legal basis for the establishment of the PQF NCC Permanent Secretariat. So as a backgrounder, on the creation of the PQF Secretariat, we have our Republic Act 10968 series of 2018. And Section 10 of the Act provides for the PQF-NCC to organize a permanent secretariat and shall determine the structure, the composition, staff qualifications, and location of the permanent secretariat. Section 19 of the PQF implementing rules and regulations of the same act, the same law, provides that the permanent technical secretariat shall be headed by a full-time role as the National Coordinating Council. You know, ladies and gentlemen, as stated in Chapter 4 of the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, one of the strategies is for the government to strengthen the PQF-NCC and its governance structure, and it is to establish also the PQF Secretariat and to enable budgetary support mechanism for succeeding activities of the PQF-NCC. Further background will provide us that in 2020, a PQF review was carried out with the guidance of PQF-NCC, and the World Bank provided the technical assistance through Future Jobs Project, entitled A Review of Philippine Qualifications Framework Towards Improved Skills. That study recommends to establish a PQF-NCC Secretariat, and that would be a permanent secretariat to strengthen interagency coordination and cooperation. The report further states that the permanent secretariat will be the PQF-NCC's main interface with relevant agencies, the different technical working groups, training institutes, and other stakeholders. Now, based on the previously mentioned provisions of the PQF law and the IRR, the PQF-NCC, after a series of discussions and consultations with member agencies and relevant stakeholders, crafted PQF Resolution number 2023-01 with the title of Approving and Endorsing to DBM the proposed organizational structure and functions, plantilla positions, salary grades, duties and responsibilities of the PQF-NCC Permanent Secretariat, and approving the proposed organizational structure and functions, proposed staffing pattern, and plantilla positions of the said Permanent Secretariat. Now, if we look at this screen, this slide, we can see the proposed organizational structure and functions, the plantilla positions, and the structure of it. So it also provides us with the that the positions and duties, the responsibilities, just another backgrounder, of the permanent secretary have been subjected to comments and recommendations by the different member agencies, the technical working groups also, and it was also done through consultative meetings and dialogues with relevant stakeholders. With the establishment of the permanent secretariat, the PQF-NCC can exert strategic and practical leadership in policies and regulations related to the implementation and utilization of the Philippine Qualifications Framework. It can also have an effective provision of policy, technical and program development, and it will be supportive to the PQF NCC and the different working groups. For effective implementation of the PQF NCC and its secretariat should secure the necessary budget, of course, the necessary budget allocation for the TWGs and each of the working groups, and to prepare for the foundation of the PQF implementation and continued operation of the PQF scheme in an effective and sustained manner. So, what are the different functions and responsibilities of the proposed units of the PQF NCC? Let's look at this. The Permanent Secretariat shall conduct research to improve further the PQF and its implementation and benchmark it to and with other national qualifications frameworks. It will coordinate periodic reviews and respective working groups, monitor the effectiveness and efficacy of the working groups' programs and projects, and provide inputs, advisories, and recommendations to the WGs or the working groups or the PQF NCC in the implementation of the programs, projects, and services. And of course, it will also connect with partners and stakeholders in PQF for the development, implementation, and its use. It is likewise tasked to develop, very importantly, to develop and maintain the knowledge management system. While the technical working group, on the other hand, will provide assistance in the development of complete staff work on agenda items and other issues for deliberation, the resolution or action by the PQF NCC. It shall also provide assistance to the Permanent Secretariat in the clarification of policy resolutions, issuances, statements, and such other related matters to be resolved or issued by the PQF NCC. What are the main functions of the different divisions? First, we'll have to look at